Buongiorno a tutti. Buongiorno dal quartier generale del Paris Film Festival numero 23. Siamo collegati dal Visionario, il cinema visionario di Udine. Oggi parliamo di un argomento che ci sta molto a cuore. Nella sua vocazione di esplorare territori nuovi, di andare a ritroso anche nella storia delle cinematografie asiatiche, quest'anno Paris Film Festival ha deciso di rendere omaggio al più grande attore del cinema filippino. Pensate che Eddie Garcia, sto parlando naturalmente di lui, era nato nel 1929 e purtroppo morì pochissimo tempo fa, nel 2019, non per vecchiaia, ma perché stava lavorando su un set e purtroppo ebbe un incidente che ce lo portò via. Io ho avuto l'occasione di incontrarlo nel 2018 a Manila, all'interno di un festival Cinemalaya che lo omaggiava con un premio importante, un altro dei premi che Eddie Garcia ha ottenuto nel corso della sua carriera, che è durata veramente tantissimo, 7 decenni. Quasi 700 ruoli sono appunto il suo lavoro che rimane quindi ai posteri, a tutti coloro che amano il cinema asiatico e in particolare il cinema che arriva da questo paese molto importante nell'Asia, che è appunto le Filippine, che ha veramente sfornato tantissimi nomi importanti a livello internazionale, sia come autori che come registi che come attori. In ogni caso, più di 700 ruoli, una carriera che è durata, come dicevo, 7 decenni, veramente riconosciuto e conosciuto come il più grande attore di tutti i tempi per quanto riguarda le Filippine, ma non solo. Ha ricoperto i ruoli del cattivo, dell'antieroe, dell'uomo gay e addirittura si è anche cimentato in vari ruoli comici. Tutto questo è Eddie Garcia. Noi abbiamo scelto 5 film all'interno di questa sterminata carriera per celebrarlo e ora ne parliamo con 2 ospiti che sono collegati da Manila. Prima di tutto volevo salutare e ringraziare Jun Lana, il regista Jun Lana. Hello Jun. Hi. Very nice
Hey,
to
hey,
meet you.
Sabina. Good afternoon from Manila. Yeah,
Thank you very
I'm
much
happy to
for
be here. Thank you.
taking.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's our pleasure. We really miss you. You have been here 2 times with your films, and today we have the chance to speak a lot about the Filipino cinema, in particular about
Mm.
this one of the greatest actor ever, Eddie Garcia. You worked with him many times. Would you like to share with us some something, some memories, some stories during your preparation of your
Yeah,
films? And yeah, please, you had the chance to meet him.
I've worked. Yeah, well, I've worked with Tito Eddie. We call him Tito Eddie. It's a term of endearment and reverence. Tito means uncle, so we call him Tito Eddie. I've worked with Tito Eddie so many times. We started working on television when I was really young. And then eventually, when I transitioned and started to direct films, one of my projects that I was trying to get off the ground for a few years was Wakao, and it was finally accepted as a finalist at the Cinemalaya Film Festival. But I needed Tito Eddie to be part of it because I wrote Wakao for Tito Eddie, and I remember um, mastering the courage to call Tito Eddie and ask him to be part of the film. And then he told me to just send the script to him. And after a few days, he called me back and said, "So when do we start shooting?" And of course, I was really surprised and of course delighted. But at the same time, I told him, "There's just one thing, Tito Eddie, and I have to be very honest with you. I don't think I can afford you." And then he just answered me and said that should be the least of your worries, June. When do we start shooting? And don't worry about it. And so that's the reason why Buakaw was produced, because he supported the film and he believed in me as a filmmaker. And we have to remember that Eddie Garcia himself is a director. So for him to trust a young director for a project, that meant a big deal. And Eddie Garcia has always supported Philippine cinema and especially supported the works and the efforts of independent filmmakers like me. So that's how I will always remember Eddie Garcia.
Such a great man, a great artist. We can see together something about him. So to go through all the career. So we can see together this video that was produced by FDCP in the Philippines, and
Mhm.
again is a kind of homage, a tribute to him.
Mhm.
Let's see the video.
Pwede ko ba siyang mahawakan? Nakakagat po ba siya?
Siya hindi. Ako, oo.
Bakit niyo kami hiniwan? Bakit?
Bakit ba wala ka nang ginawa? Kundi maghintay kung kailan ka mamamatay. Isipin mo na lang kung ano nakakapagpasaya sa'yo.
Panahon na para malaman niyo. Mahal ko siya. Mahal ko siya tulad ng pagmamahal ko sa iyong ina. Bilang na ang araw ni Fredo, gusto kong alagaan siya hanggang sa huli niya ang hininga.
Tatanda no, magka-audience po.
Pakialam ko anong sabihin nila. Ano? Nabakla ako?
Alam mo, makapangyarihan sila. May mas makapangyarihan pa sa kanila na niloloko sa'yo para lalo ka maghirap at mawala ng pera.
Tingnan mo yung mga extra. Ang ganda-ganda ng mga kilos. Natural na natural. Action!
Salamat po, bakit?
Kasi parang totoo eh.
Ang bawat pelikula, kailangan may sinasabing totoo tungkol sa buhay, tungkol sa mga tao.
Ngayon para sa akin, ikaw lamang. Gagaling ka, Nora. Gagaling ka.
Wow.
Here we are, yes. It was really touching.
Yeah.
Real legend, icon.
Yeah.
That's why we name our small focus. We decided to choose this title, Eddie Garcia Life as a Film Epic, which is really true. Which are your favorite films from its career, June?
Oh, I have
Do
a
you have
lot.
any favorite?
I love ML. I think that's one of his most recent films. I love his performance there. But I've also I think I've seen most of the films that he made for Cinemalaya because he's a staunch supporter of independent cinema. You know, watching that video, it's still difficult for me to comprehend that he's gone. I still get emotional about it. Tito Eddie was my muse. When we made Buakaw. Buakaw was the first installment in a trilogy of films. It was followed by 2 more films, and he was in both films. I think that I was able to finish the trilogy 2 years ago, and he was still there. So it's still difficult for me. I still can't actually really accept that he's no longer with us, but I'm still totally grateful for the legacy that he left behind. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but there's an Eddie Garcia bill that was passed in Manila, and it's a bill that supports the welfare and wellness of Filipino workers in the industry. And so to call him an icon is really an understatement because he's really much more than that. His legacy will live forever. it will be forever felt by everybody in the industry, by generations to come. And so I am so grateful to you guys for giving him this platform, for giving him this tribute. And I just hope that more people can watch his films.
Yes, I can imagine. Yes, it was much more than that. Let me see if Max Tessier is also with us
Okay.
from Manila. Max, are you there?
Yes.
Oh,
Hello.
great.
Hey,
Hello.
Max.
Sorry about the technical problems. I'm really bad at that. But now it's okay. You can hear me? You can see
Yes.
me? Okay,
Yeah,
good. Hi, June.
that's great.
Hey, Max.
Hi. Sorry, I was early, but now I'm late. Okay, so what do
No
you want me
problem.
to say?
We would love you to speak about Eddie's career and also to make a kind of overview about him. And also, as a last thing, because it was very difficult for us to choose 5 titles because there were so many to consider. So you can say something about that, how we
Yes.
proceed in the selection in this small but important tribute to Eddie Garcia. Max.
Yes, actually, the idea of the tribute to Eddie Garcia goes back to 2018, I think, or even 17. We discussed that with Roger Garcia, and then we're supposed to have the tribute 2 years ago. But unfortunately, it couldn't be done at that time, and unfortunately, there was that fatal accident. And then because you remember I told you don't wait too long because he's already almost 90. But anyway, I was so privileged to meet him at least twice or 3 times in Manila in festivals like Cinemalaya or Q Cinema. Um, he's a legend. Of course, we have to repeat everything. He's an icon. He's a legend in Filipino cinema, and I think he could be compared to other legends in other national cinemas. Like if it was Italy, for instance, I would say Mastroianni, although Mastroianni did make it to 90 years old, but his career. And in France, it would be Charles Vanel, who played in numerous films from the silent era to the 80s, even in Italy with Francesco Rosi. In Hollywood, it would be like Kirk Douglas, and in Japan, it would be like Toshiro Mifune, maybe. So he's really, and what I can say myself when I met him is he was such a nice man, not pretentious at all, not playing the big star, Hollywood, anything. And he was ready to come to Udine, in fact. Uh, about the selection of the films, I checked again. According to IMDb, he did 659 films altogether, including the TV series and the film he directed himself. So it's of course quite difficult. But the real difficulty is not only the number of films, is the the technical condition of the film, because as you know, it's very few films have been restored in the Philippines. Now it's getting much better thanks to ABS-CBN and FDCP. That's why we could have the film by Bernal, which I've seen before. But for instance, I was considering a film by Lino Broca, which is really very good, which I saw like 3 times. It's Tubig Saginto, can be translated by water in the golden water, something. And but the print is very bad, it's only video or cannot be restored. So of course we have to. That's why I'm so glad we can have Wakao, for instance, because it's a recent film and it didn't not too many problems for the restoration. Otherwise, it's the film by Joel Lamangan also was not a problem. It's difficult to find old films because very few have been restored, so it's limited. But at least we can see the different aspects of Eddie's talent, because he is played in so many different kinds of film in the mainstream, in the commercial cinema, and I think his career as an actor in indie film started, maybe, I'm not sure, with Anino, Raymond Red, that we are showing. That was 2000. And then lately, just before he died, he did a string of real good film, like June said, ML, that we've seen in Cinemalaya also, and other film. And Kalel, he appears also in the film by Jude Lana. So, it's difficult when you have such a monument of cinema. It's really difficult to choose, and then of course we cannot show more than 5 or 6 films. So I think the choice we have, the selection we have, is quite okay to give. So people in Europe or Italy who don't know Eddie Garcia or very little, they can have a nice view of his talent.
Yes, it's correct. And also, Eddie Garcia was a director himself. So I would like to ask June, what do you think about him as a director? We are going to show Sina Sambaquita, which is a very interesting film. And I'm curious to know your opinion about his directing.
Yeah, I think he was, at that time, he was directing in the 70s, 80s. There was also another film, Achai, which I've seen one of his best film as a director. I think it was in the 70s or early 80s, with Nora Honor. And it was shown in Naga at the Cinema Argent Festival 2 years ago. No, last year, sorry. And but the same problem. The film, condition was not good enough. I think he was maybe influenced at that time, by the very good directors like Broca, Bernal, Marilu Diaz-Abaya, even the good commercial directors in mainstream cinema that we don't know in Europe, but who are very popular here. So it really worked like Hollywood at the time, and you would make 2 or 3 films a year without any problem. So it's a mix of personal touch and more conventional characteristics of Hollywood men in the Philippines, in a way.
Yeah, he was a brilliant storyteller. Tito Eddie. Watch I was a huge box office hit when it was shown here many years ago. But his craft as a storyteller has always been solid, and it was something that he shared with me when we were making films, and it felt like I was working with a master. I was directing him as an actor, but at the same time I was getting so much guidance for him as a director.
Yeah, we're watching now the trailer for Sina Sambaquita, and also we also
translation
saw,
can be like I will cherish you forever. I will worship you forever.
I will worship.
Yeah.
Yes, and we saw also some pictures I personally took in Manila in 2018. In the picture, you, Max, you were there, and also June were there together with Eddie Garcia. I don't know if you'd noticed that.
Oh yeah. I think that's the Cinemalaya premiere of one of his films.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Eddie Garcia was also the director in the movie by Ishmael Bernal, At the Top, which we totally in love with. And would you like to tell about his relationship with some of the biggest director in Philippines, such as Ishmael Bernal, together with Eddie Garcia? Do you know something about that? Because for us, it was really surprising to see the movie. for us as a Westerner, sometimes it's very difficult, hard to cover this big classic. Max.
I'm sorry, I thought you were asking June. Yeah. Yeah.
Both.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm not sure. I haven't seen many films, because it's very difficult to see, except sometimes on TV, like the special channels like PBO or Cinema One. You can see such kind of films. I don't know how close he was to Ishmael Bernal, but of course, I'm sure of one thing. When you see the film at the top, that Bernal put a part of himself in the character of Eddie Garcia as a director. Probably because he's trying to be, a personal director doing something more not totally commercial. And then, of course, a lot of problems happen because of his personality. So I think it's close to Bernal's personality, maybe, if I'm not wrong.
Well, I have no idea how he worked with Ishmael Bernal, but I'm pretty sure that all directors love Eddie Garcia because he's so easy to work with. He was a superstar, but he was so grounded, and he did everything to help not just the director but the production, and he was so respectful. He treated everyone equally, from the director down to the production assistant. Everybody loved Eddie Garcia.
Going back to Wakao, I'm just curious to know how was prepared the movie with him, because Wakao, I think it's one of the most important movie for talking about Eddie Garcia. His performance in that movie is such a great one. And I'm curious, how did you prepare the film with him? Also because in this case, he's a old gay man. So I think maybe, I'm just curious, how do you prepare that specific role?
Waha is really one of my passion projects, and I've been trying, as I mentioned earlier, I've been trying for years to get it off the ground. And it wasn't until Eddie Garcia agreed to play the lead role that I finally got the funding I needed for the movie. Because when you have an icon, a superstar like Eddie Garcia to be part of your project, it's easier to actually sell it and get people interested. With regards to working with him, I remember I had a 60-page character sheet, all the details about the characters which I wanted to discuss with Eddie Garcia. But then during the reading, we had one reading. He totally understood the character, and I didn't have to discuss with him the 60-page character brief that I had. He knew the character, and he was actually asking me. He was asking me if it was okay for him to improvise and add dialogues here and there. And for me, I mean, it was just an honor to work with Eddie Garcia. When you work with an actor like him, all you really have to do is put him in front of the camera, and he's going to shine. He's going to help you tell your story. And that's it. That was the relationship I had with him. We shot Waka for 10 days straight. So it was really stressful. It was stressful, but Tito Eddie made it easier for everybody on the set. And he loved the project. He was so totally committed to it. It's really one of the best memories I have of being a filmmaker, working on Wahao and working with Eddie Garcia.
Wow.
Sorry, Sabrina. May I ask one question to June about Wahao?
Sure.
Now, when you had this project of Wahao, of course you had someone in mind as a lead actor. So did you immediately think of Eddie Garcia, or did you have other actors in mind? when
It
you
was
started
always
the
it really was always Eddie Garcia. So it was nerve wracking for me when I called him and asked him to play the lead role because I was so afraid to be rejected. As I mentioned earlier, I couldn't afford him, and when I told him that, Tito Eddie, I really want you to be part of the project, but I have to be honest, I can't afford you. And he said that's not a problem, and I love the script. So when do we start shooting? That's all he ever asked me. So yeah, nobody else could play Rene in
yeah,
Gokao.
it's quite
Yeah.
obvious.
Mm.
Yes, exactly. And then suddenly, the news about his death actually spread out in 2019 in Makati. How do you remember that the news? How was shocking? How much was shocking for you? We found on the news on a channel news channel in Manila. We found a video about that unfortunately event. If we can see together that before.
Uh, is that for me? No, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I was shocked. I mean, it was so
Mm,
heartbreaking. Because I saw the video and I just couldn't comprehend what happened, and I was just really hoping that he would be able to survive it and go back to making movies. And so it was really difficult for me dealing with it. I still get emotional about it. So it's just so it's difficult.
ah, yeah, I can imagine. And also, you know, the fact he was working at that time, not was it also very important because he was a man who didn't stop,
Mm.
never, always
Yeah, I mean,
working, working, working.
yes. Yes, I mean, retirement was not part of his. I mean, he would never retire. I mean, in a
Never.
way, in a way, I think that would be for Eddie Garcia. That would be the best way to go, to die while working. But at the same time, his death was such a legacy to, as I mentioned, to Filipino film workers. Because of what happened, the Eddie Garcia bill was passed, became a law, and now. It safeguards the conditions and well-being of Filipino workers in the industry.
May I add
Max.
something? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, it's like in Hollywood in many aspects. Is not the only case of working non-stop and never retiring in Filipino cinema. I'm thinking also of female actresses, like Anita Linda,
Mhm.
who also died, but she was still appearing in film by Adolf Alice or the film. Or Gloria Romero is a little bit younger, but still acting. And I think there are several examples of that. They love their work. They love to act all the time. They would never stop.
Mhm.
So I think if Eddie had been stop acting, he would have died bored
Mhm.
of boredom.
Probably you're right.
Yeah.
And by the way, Max, we are thinking to keep exploring his career in our film festival also for the future, because we still need to see a lot of films starring Eddie Garcia and go deeply in his life and career. Do you know anything about his the beginning of his career, when he was also involved in Okinawa in Filipino Scouts? Do you know something about that? Because
Not really, no. I think he started his career as an actor in the late 40s and early 50s, and he was becoming an important actor and a star already in the 50s and 60s, right? But I don't know much about. I think we have a text in the catalogs that may give us some information about that, but no, sorry, I don't.
Yeah, by the way, talking about Filipino cinema today, what do you think? Who is going to collect the legacy of Eddie Garcia for the future? Difficult to say.
I don't know. I don't think there is another real Eddie Garcia to come. But of course, there are many actors who are talented. You know, you never know. But of course, also we have to stress the fact that cinema, the condition of the Filipino cinema today is quite different from Eddie Garcia's era. So the commercial cinema, the Philippines used to produce, I don't know, 300 movies a year, something like that, or even 250. And now it's all, June, of course, it's all TV. And of course, because of the pandemic, it's even worse. And let's not forget the sad fact that movie houses, the cinemas, has been closed in this country for over a year, since March last year. So it's all online, and it's really very, very sad. They announced the reopening of the cinemas, I think, in last March, but because there was another spike in the virus, stop it. Because most of the cinemas, all of the cinemas now are in the malls, in the shopping malls, and of course, if there was other cases of virus during, the screening in the cinemas, the malls would be responsible. So I think they are very much afraid of reopening. This sad truth.
Yeah. I think it would really be. Yeah, I think it would be difficult to equal the achievements of Eddie Garcia. As Max mentioned, Eddie Garcia lived in a time that was really different, when as a filmmaker, as an artist, he could do a lot as a director, as an actor, as a producer, and during his time they would make like 2-3 films in a week, all at the same time, and so it would be really difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine. Okay, so it was really great talking to you both, and we really would love to be in Manila with you and to follow up your new film preparation, June. We are waiting for you here in Udine with your new film that you are working on now. And let's say that this is just the first step in studying Eddie Garcia's career. So we will talk again for sure in the coming years. So I would love to thank Max Tessier, which is an expert and very inspiring to speak about Eddie Garcia and in general Filipino cinema. So thank you so much. Thank you, and speak to you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.